we were talking about this, Armin, in the group a while ago. Armin, you remember we were talking about the motivations of people like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes. I'll even throw Megyn Kelly into the mix. Why they've moved from a generally, not Nick Fuentes, but the rest, generally a pro-Israel position to an anti-Israel position, and a from an anti-Islamic to a pro-Islamic position. That's what I wanted to get into. I have a little more insight on that after I stepped back and saw the complete picture. So I'll keep
right-wing
going.
anti-Israeli wokeism.
Yeah, yes, that's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
I figured out I was looking too deeply into this, thinking too hard. Forgive me that I overthink some things sometimes, but regardless, it's important to remember the intelligence acronym for when people go turn bad and go bad for bad causes. Term called MICE. What that means is money, ideology, coercion, and ego. I was too focused on the ideological aspect of this, not seeing the money and ego. Because when you look at Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly, these people were former Fox hosts. And with that position, had a huge income for salary, huge platform for fame and admiration. But when you go from Fox News to alternative media, as has happened in the economy, guess what? You lose the money and you lose that fame. So if you want to get more notoriety, but also more money, why not work with the Qataris? Why not work with people in Bahrain, Oman, Saudis, or anybody else in the Islamic world? What I'm saying is that they're selfish actors. I think in a lot of their cases, it's more to do with money and ego than it is with ideology. Certainly for Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly. For Candace Owens' case, I think it's also money and ego, but she's coming from a different strain. She didn't start in the mainstream media. I believe, because a lot of people are saying she started as a left-wing agitator, but then shifted her tune when the opportunity came to join the right to get exactly that, the money and the ego boost. Nick Fuentes, out of the four, I really think is the only one who's an ideologue when he says he loves Hitler and Stalin. I think he does because he loves central planning in the economy and central planning for the social mores and social laws in the country, more or less.
Yeah, I see the same thing with Nick Fuentes. I think he's a true believer. The rest of them, I think it's complicated because I think people lie to themselves and then convince themselves before they lie to other people. If something is convenient to believe for your, for your views and for your finances, it's most people who go in that direction. It's not that they come out and just tell themselves like, okay, I need to lie and tell something that is obviously bullshit to people to make more money and get more views. I don't think most people, I mean, some people work like that and they're like genuine psychopaths. Okay. But I think they're few in number. I think most people, it takes too much energy to constantly having to put a mask on. And it's just so exhausting. And what they do instead is they first fool themselves and they see like it's basically something deep inside that is noticing that, oh, I'm getting more rewarded the more I move into this direction. So and not very a subconscious part of your mind is noticing like, it's nicer over here. But a more conscious part of your mind is now, this is actually convincing. Okay. So there's something deep inside your mind that is noticing that I'm making more money on this side. But the part of that your mind that is louder is not that this is more comfortable financially, is that, oh, actually this sounds reasonable. So you are basically you participate in a self brainwashing process. And this is how your mind protects itself from feeling that I'm an immoral person or that I'm lying to people. So you're protecting yourself in two ways. You're protecting yourself from thinking that I'm an immoral person, and most people are not comfortable thinking that. So they have to convince themselves that this is actually the legit position to have. And also you're protecting yourself from the exhaustion of acting all the time, and most people cannot constantly act every day. That would be too exhausting, so they lie to themselves before they lie to other people. That's just it. I'm just repeating myself now, but yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, Armin, I mean, I say yes and no because I actually came from a media background. I've been around these types. I went to school with these types, kind of changed careers after finding out kind of how they were. Not all of them, but a lot of them. It tends to reward, not just here, but many other countries of the world, just that profession. Generally, it tends to reward people of a lower moral standard, of a lower moral stature. So, I mean, we could throw around the psychological terms like you did, psychopath, sociopath, narcissist, but there's something in it as a reward in and of itself where I have more money and I have more fame and I have more adoration by jumping on the bandwagon of what's popular instead of jumping on the bandwagon of what's right. I mean, if you're around these people, Armin, in day to day, like I was years ago, you'd be surprised what you would learn around them.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
All right, Guy wants to respond.
I think we can go one by one for the main ones. And one thing is the momentum for being anti-Israel through the propaganda and lack of proper contextualizing of images from the Gaza war. So it created a momentum for this kind of thing to come up. And then Nick Fuentes was always there. He is the true believer. He paid a lot. He paid huge prices for his opinions, and now he feels vindicated. His audience grew immensely. People see see that this happens. Candace Owens is, I think, also a true believer. But she's mainly a nutbag, as Sketch so eloquently put it. Like, she's borderline personality, narcissist. Ever since she came up, like the way she came up, the way she turned conservative is that she created a wacko website for following people and like having pictures of people to, I don't remember exactly what the issue was, something about women, and she couldn't handle the fact that people weren't worshiping her for this website and thinking that it was problematic. And that was like, wait, there's no way it's actually problematic. It must be that all the liberals that I always hung around with are actually hypocrites and so on. And that was the reason that she turned to the right. She is incapable of being wrong in her mind. And she married a Catholic of the, you know how you're a classical liberal? He's a classical Catholic. That's less wholesome. And that's pre-Vatican II Catholic, meaning the Jews are to blame for everything. She married him 2 weeks after meeting him. Something there is just not right, and the show saw her whole personality twisted in that direction, and she just became a full-blown anti-Semite.
Yeah,
Having
George Farmer is also a British lord, by the way. That's another thing to remember there, Guy.
Is that her husband?
Yes, George Farmer. He is also a British lord. He's tied to the old aristocracy there.
Okay. At the same time, she's also a grifter. Like the Charlie thing, I don't think, like, she definitely doesn't believe that. It's just a good way to feel important. And okay, so that was Nick, Candace. Tucker, I think, has a lot of grievance against a lot of people, and some of those people are Jewish. And I'm not sure if he needs the money. I think he took the money. First of all, he had Omid Malik, who's funding TCN, Tucker Carlson Network, is a conservative Muslim. I don't know what his position in Israel is. It wouldn't surprise me if it's negative. That's his known financier, and he has a lot of grievances from the people at Fox that he feels betrayed him. Now, he never had a backbone. Like, we have the recordings of him actually secretly hating Trump and being very willing to talk about whatever on screen. And he's also very cunning. I think he's actually on a mission to destroy some things in the West. I wouldn't be surprised if he's personally in touch with Dugin from Russia, or at the very least, like, people who espouse Dugin's philosophy. And he's actually just trying to turn America into a theocracy. In that sense, he's actually in bed with Fuentes. I think he turned towards Fuentes' side and is willing to lie as much as necessary to get there. Megan, I think, because she's friends with Candace and she's friends with Tucker, and a lot of her audience are Tucker and Candace watchers, she just said, "Oh wait," and she recently even said this out loud. I actually can get a lot of Muslim viewers to watch my show if I dunk on Israel, and there's way more Muslims than Jews, and Megan is just a grifter, completely, utterly, totally a grifter. This is my position, and if you don't like it, I have another one to offer you. That's basically her thing. She's just someone who's in it for the money, and now this is where she sees the money, not necessarily from Americans, but definitely viewers, both from Candace and Tucker, and also several Middle Eastern countries.
Thank you, Guy. Sketch, you're next.
One thing that Candace did that a lot of these other people didn't do, you're right, she does come from the left. Her royal hubby buddy, I think it was Andrew Tate that introduced Candace to that guy. I don't know what the relation. I know he's a pimp, according to himself. That's what Andrew Tate says he is, right? In his videos, he would be like, "Now you know that the OnlyFans girls has this guy from India. Who's the one that's really sending the messages. That used to be Andrew Tate's job, and that's what he says. And he had like a grooming gang university course that he doesn't talk about anymore. But that's just what Andrew Tate is and does. So I don't know how he became a model of the right, but whatever. But that's kind of the relationship between those three people. They got like a little triangle over there. It's kind of weird. Now, what Candace also did that's making her famous now is that he formatted it for female viewers. He made it a soap opera. He made it about feelings. He had a little mystery at the end. She had a little mystery at the end of every chapter. And next time, I'm going to tell you this thing I found and this evidence. And this person came forward. She made it into a soap opera. And that especially with the Charlie Kirk thing, that's what really had her pick up like some steam. She is formatting it for women, but she's a total lefty. She tried to. She never really changed. She was doing cancel culture, basically on other people. She just changed targets. She didn't change her methods much, and because the left itself didn't like her, she found herself out of favor after I think it was Social Autopsy was the site she made for shaming people online, and she used to work be like in the C-suite of a leftist marketing firm, like a political firm. So that's where she comes from. I believe she is crazy, but not, let me see, crazy like a fox, I would say. Like she knows the stuff she's saying is insane. She might kind of sort of believe it, but it might be sort of convenient. And Tucker, you can find lots of videos of Tucker saying the exact opposite of the things he says now about Iran, about Islam in America. You can find him saying the opposite things. There's other people in the background that are just like there was this guy, Dan Blazarian. He was very anti-Israel. Turns out he's 12% Jewish. So, I don't, a lot of these people are scammers and grifters. Nick, I don't know about Nick. People call him a true believer, but some of his claims about being debanked, some of his claims about all the things he suffered might not hold up or be as serious as he claims. His suffering, his comf, as people would say, is not as clear. What did he suffer that much, or was just he fucking poor, right? He didn't have a lot of money, which a lot of people go through that. Was he really debanked, or was there a whole bunch of regulation things that didn't get done right, and it would have happened to anybody, and it wasn't really about religion or ideology? There's a lot of things about Tucker that doesn't mean that he doesn't believe what he's saying, but that makes me believe that he's exaggerating what he's gone through. That not Tucker, I mean Nick. There's a lot of things about Nick that make me think he's exaggerating his suffering and how much he really paid his dues. I have a lot of doubts. So I would move out of Chicago just in general. I would recommend that to everybody. He shouldn't be there. That's why he has so many trouble in that place. But having trouble in that place leads to him having these problems. So he had some nuts show up at his place. Why are you in Chicago? If you can move, move. You know what you're saying is inflammatory. there's a lot of stuff that he knows he's wrong about or lying. Like, oh, we give all this money to Israel. No, we don't. We give them a discount. We give them like a 15 to 20% discount, and they have to spend it on our stuff, which is stuff that gives us jobs, stuff that we manufacture, so they over in Israel can go defend our commerce and especially our oil without us having to put our carriers there and our blood. So, he's just lying about that. A lot of people lie about that. And I see him as kind of like faking the funk. Not maybe he does believe what he's saying, but this, oh, I suffered, I paid my dues. I got my doubts on Nick about that. And Candace is crazy like a fox. Like, she's packaging it for women. He's just like, a man looks at her and they just said, this is nuts. But women, when they see it, it's a soap opera. It's a mystery. It always ends on a cliffhanger. Like, I've talked to conservative women that tells me, no, this is what she's doing. And when you look at it, you see a couple of episodes of cliffhangers. You're like, oh, I get it. Just a soap opera.
Thank you. Samantha, you're next.
That was an amazing summary.
Yeah, I was also gonna bring up, like I did, about like with Megyn Kelly, how she's friends with Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, who the timeline of it was they went anti-Israel first before her. So what I'm kind of suspecting is, I think that she probably maybe felt like some sort of guilt about staying so friendly with them, or maybe like either that or like someone like shamed her for staying friendly with them when they were going like very anti-Israel, or some combination of the two, and like she ended up just like publicly going on a rant about how like about how like pro-Israel people are like engaging in cancel culture and being too aggressive, and then she probably got like a bunch of likes and attention over that, and then whether it was some combination of like the emotional response she got of like validating her upset feelings, or increase in views after publicly expressing upsetness, and then that probably led to her going in a certain direction. That's just my theory.
Thank you, Samantha. We have about 5 more minutes left, and we have 2 people to respond, and I'll say something real quick at the end if we have time. Dajjal, you're next.
Yeah, thanks. Candace Owens, she started on the left. She had a website called socialautopsy.com. She was actually involved in Gamergate. She was on the feminist side of Gamergate, going after conservative gamers and, talking about all the chuds and the gamers are misogynistic and blah, 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 all that bullshit. She used to work with Al Sharpton. Dana Lash talks to those, actually calls her Gal Sharpton as a result of that, which I think is pretty fitting. She is a grifter. She used to be an evangelical Christian, or at least pretended to be one. She was pro-Israel. She bashed Islam, and now ever since she met her gay British aristocratic husband, she's a devout Catholic, SSPX. Just like him, Vatican I, English Mass Catholic. Vatican I, Latin Mass Catholic, rather. Hates the Jews. Speaks of hates the Jews, the perfidious Jews. Thinks Pope Pius XII was the last legitimate pope, and that's where she comes in with that. So yeah.
Thank you, Dajjal. Jeffrey, very quickly, because Armin needs to read some super chats as well.
You bet. So yeah, Jim mentioned MICE. It's a very apt acronym or framework. One of the other ones that the CIA kind of expanded on that in 2013 is called RASCALS, and it kind of helps with regards to the environment you're in. RASCALS stands for reciprocation. People feel obligated to repay favors or gifts. Authority, compliance increases with perceived expertise, power, prestige. Scarcity, limit or rare opportunities feel more valuable and create urgency. Commitment or consistency, so you have small initial agreements to larger ones, like the beginnings to ask for larger asks. Liking, people are more easily influenced by those they like. And here's the main one: social proof. People look for what others are doing as a guide for correct behavior. They had MICE R, which deals with, it's MICE plus revenge. That's how they kind of focus with regards to the Chinese Communist Party. It's the social proof that very much is being leveraged here by contemporary U.S. adversaries. Guy very much rightly brought up Dugin, Alexander Dugin, who is sometimes called the Putin whisperer. He wrote a book called Foundation of Geopolitics, which very much talks about co-opting, amplifying, and or creating internal political dissidents. And it's very much the origins for an amplification of a lot of the superficial overlap between Islamic fundamentalism and the hard right that evolved as a co-radicalized response to the radical left created by Soviet active measures and amplified by contemporary adversaries. What does all that mean? It means that people are busy on picking which team they're supporting, when really both teams are actually being supported by our adversaries to foment unrest and paralyze the United States.
Thank you very much. That was all of our responses. I just wanted to say one thing. I, as an Iranian Armenian, I find it extremely disgusting that we have, in all of this camp, we have two of the people in this camp are Armenians. And especially Anna Kasparian, the neurotic lunatic who likes to speak over Iranian Armenians while we don't have any voices coming out from there. She needs to shut the fuck up and sit down and stop speaking over us. Because we are against the regime. We Iranian Armenians are against the Islamic Republic, Anna Kasparian. You don't know anything about living under the Islamic Republic, and you don't get to speak over Iranian Armenians just because you know a couple or you claim you have family there. So you don't know anything, and you need to sit down and just stop talking. Thank you very much. Armin, you can read your super chats.
Okay, this is why I want Nare to have her own YouTube channel and for us to promote it, because we don't like, how many Iranian Armenians are out there giving us that angle and that perspective? Do we?
What was that? What was your question?
Like, how many, like, we need you are
Yeah.
a great representative of that perspective, and we need you out there, right? So that's why I'm hoping one day you will have your YouTube channel and everything.
I'm trying, I'm just going slowly, so maybe I'll just try here to speak on it a little bit and then see what happens.
Okay. All right, so let me read the super chats. Every time you open your mic, you don't open your mic often, but every time you do, it's just like some really good points and information. So I'm hoping, that's why I'm trying to, guys, help me peer pressure like Nara to get her to start a YouTube channel or something. Okay, so let me go through the super chats. And guys, we actually got to 10 super chats. I didn't expect that, so thank you. Casey saying, fucker Carlson is paid by MEK. Hey, I don't think MEK has gotten to him yet, but he's a good candidate, so don't give them any ideas. He's actually a great candidate for the MEK. Oh my, I didn't even think about that. Why are you giving them ideas? And then we have Ida, I remember. Ida saying, I must confess, I don't really care how you pronounce my name. Both ways are fine by me. Oh, I used to call her Ida. No, Ida, it's Ida. I remember it's Ida. You have enough on your plate. You don't need to try to remember it every time. Laugh emoji, heart emoji. Hey, I love you all. I love you too. And Ida was telling you guys that she loves you guys too in the discussion. And thank you, Ida. Thank you so much for the support. And Ida with another super chat saying, and thank you for what you do. Oh, thank you for what you do. Thank you for the super chat. And Dominic was encouraging everybody to get to 10 super chat, saying 10 out of 10, let's go. Thank you so much, Dominic. And then Ida kept on giving us super chats until we got to 10 super chats. Ida was saying, and hello to the lovely people in the discussion group. That was Ida to you guys. And then last super chat, Ida was saying word Nare. So that was for Nare. Saying word. Okay. Well, thank you guys for all the support. And thank you for making this possible to keep all of this alive and all the support. So thank you guys. You have no idea, because to keep all of this going, I've canceled so many other things to be able to do this. So the support really means a lot. So thank you. Okay, guys, the conversation continues in the discussion group without me. So I'm going to end the stream. I'm going to end the recording. So that means that the conversation from now on is not going to be recorded. It's not going to be live streamed. So you could all share your darkest secrets with each other. Just kidding. Don't do that. But that means like,
What?
what? Yes, go ahead, another.
Armin, Guy wants to say one sentence.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, now it's okay. I just wanted to say that one reason I think Nick Fuentes is honest is because he himself has said that he often contradicts himself, and that's true. He is a white supremacist, devout Christian who's a gay Mexican. That's a lot of contradiction.
Okay. Well, thank you for that.